So, what do J.S. Bach, Charlie Bird Parker, and Jimi Hendrix have in common?
Well, I would guess that it's improvisation.
You would be right. So, improvisation, that's the topic of this video. I am Beth Green, and I am an improvisational pianist. And this is Sweet Baby James, who is my husband, sidekick, and a musician in his own right. So, we want to talk about improvisation today. So, you would think that if Jimi Hendrix and Bach and Charlie Bird Parker and lots of other people did improvisation, would think, wow, that's something that everybody would be studying and trying to do. And the fact of the matter is that in the field of jazz, there's a lot of emphasis on improvisation. But in the field of classical music, there is very little. You're not supposed to improvise. You're supposed to play the. So, why is that?
Yeah, why is that?
I have no idea. We had improvisation, centuries ago. And even into the 19th century, there were incredible composers like Chopin and Liszt, and they all improvised. And I understand that now improvisation is coming back into classical music, and why it hasn't been there for a long time, I don't know. In fact, I can't get on the radio on classical music stations at universities where you would think they would be experimental and forward-looking and everything, because they tell me, "Oh no, you can't have you can't improvise classical music." Well, then I don't know what I'm improvising. It certainly isn't rock or jazz or pop.
Well, you have a classical background.
I have a classical background, so naturally, anything that I'm going to improvise is going to be. And I've been finding that all over, that they don't expect classical music to be improvised. But it isn't just classical pianists who are stuck and sort of can't get out, who can't improvise. This thing is not working right. Okay. And the reason that I want to talk about this is because you may be sitting out there, you may be improvising liberally and having a great time. Or you may be sitting there like, now what should I do and what should I do? So, we need to talk about this because we might actually be able to help you with that if you want to be helped. Or if you find the program appealing. But I'll put a link at the end about it. First, I want to talk about improvisation itself.
Yeah, what is improvisation?
Well, improvisation. Did I say? Yes, I did say I was Beth Green. I'm busy improvising, and I forget whether or not I said anything. Improvisation is playing without a script. It's playing without music. It's just playing from your heart, from your soul. That's what I consider improvisation to be. So for me, let's say I'm sitting down here and how am I feeling? And I tune into how I feel, and then I start to play whatever comes to me. And I don't control it. I just play it. So that is how I improvise. But there's a lot of other ways to improvise. For instance, you could improvise to a song. That's more common. A lot of jazz musicians and even pop musicians, they'll take a song and they'll improvise on the melody. Why don't you improvise on the melody of Mary Had a Little Lamb?
La 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 ba da ba da ba 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 da 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 ba ba.
Now, another way to improvise is you just play a chord progression, just like I did there, if you want to call that a chord progression. So, okay, so now.
Da da.
You're supposed to improvise
Da
on the chord.
Da 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 da.
Well, we didn't rehearse that one. Let me see if I can do it. So you just take chords and you improvise a melody to it. So sorry that I just sprung that on you.
Not a problem. Not a problem.
Anyway, but as I do it, it's straight improvisation. It's completely free and it's 100%. But whichever kind of improvisation you want to do is a great thing, because improvisation really connects you. Look, everything's falling apart. This is falling down. Okay, because it really connects you to yourself. And that's the great thing about improvisation. It's not just a musical experience, it's an emotional experience. So for instance, now I'm feeling a little bit more chipper than I was the last time I sat down to say, okay, so how do I feel now? I think you have a pretty good idea of how I'm feeling. There's kind of, a little bit more serene, and the first time was so anyway, it's a real communication of emotion.
Mm-hmm.
And see, I think that is one of the reasons that people are afraid to improvise. Because they're not used to demonstrating their emotion. Now, I'm about to have an emotion about this a headset. Like anyway.
That came through loud and clear.
Well, the great thing about improvisation is, if you're sitting there and suddenly the garbage truck goes by. It's incorporated in your life. So.
Yeah.
That's fun.
That's fun.
Okay. So, what else should we talk about? We're trying to keep this video brief.
Blocks to improvisation.
Yes. So it's a lot of people are blocked because they are afraid to express their emotions. Another reason that people are blocked is because they're afraid of sounding bad.
Right.
I'm not sounding bad yet. Oh, I didn't mean to play that. I meant to play that. Oh, no, and I just improvised, and everybody's going to hear me, and I just can't seem to make it sound bad enough. Well, that's because I improvise, and one of the things that they say is that when you're improvising, if you hit the wrong note, just pretend it was the right note and go on. And I think that was attributed to Miles Davis, another great jazz musician. And the fact is that it really forces you to be creative. Now, I play with my hands. That is, my hands just start playing. See, I can close my eyes. So my hands just start moving. Now, when I start to move really up and down, it could get challenging. I mean, I'm not like a blind pianist. They're amazing. I don't know how they do that, but there is this feeling my body just wants me to go, and other people hear it in their minds.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're afraid that you're going to sound bad, how are you going to improvise? You can't predict everything. You can't control everything. You don't practice it over and over.
Well, it sounds like there's a real freedom in it.
Oh my God. And with the freedom comes fear. Because it's like being on a trapeze without a net. See, I just hit that note wrong. Of course, I was bumping it to him. But who says it's wrong? I'm improvising. So I've decided that this is exactly the note that I wanted, and I just keep playing. I don't admit that I've made a mistake. I don't think of it as a mistake. I think of it as an occurrence. That's what's happening in the music, and it's taking me somewhere. And that's where it was going.
Yep.
And I claim it. Now, the more you improvise, the better you'll be at it, because you'll start to have a better sense of what you're doing. And of course, that's true for everything. Practice. You're even practicing improvising, but you don't practice improvising by playing the same song over and over. You practice improvising by improvising. So, I want to tell you that I have a Facebook page, Granny Rocks On, and I'm going to put the link in the description of this video. And every week we have a program. I broadcast Beth Green's magical piano improvisations, and I play. And we have over 10,000 subscribers to followers, is what it's called, on Facebook. So people like it, and they feel connected emotionally. You see, I get it. When I first started to improvise, I was terrified that I sounded terrible. And then people would say, oh, I loved that. You know, I played something dissonant, and I thought, right? It's like, oh no, it's dissonant, it's horrible. It's like, I'm going to kill myself. I just broadcast this to thousands of people. They don't all come live, so it's not thousands of people. But anyway, it's enough. It'll be eventually. And then people wrote to me, oh, that's just what I needed. I feel so much better. Oh, I was feeling tense. I was anxious. I was lonely. I was miserable. And your music made me calm. Believe it or not, my music makes them calm. I don't understand it either. But it makes them calm, or it gives them a lift.
I've also found it makes me feel more whole. It has a healing effect for me.
See, people find it healing. And that's because it's coming from the heart and the soul. And I would love you to be able to do that too if you want to.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and there's many ways of, you can teach yourself, or you may find somebody else, or you can consider me. I am coaching people now in improvisational piano. You have to be able to play the piano. I don't take beginning students. I mean, you know, what are you going to improvise? And you say, you know, that's no good. So you have to have some kind of intermediate skills, right? So that you can play it all. And then that's wonderful. And then, you know, you got your webcam, and you have a microphone, and it's easy. So we can do coaching together. And I didn't tell you this, I'm an intuitive counselor. I don't mean like I'm a psychic. I mean I'm a counselor who's very intuitive. And I can help you get to where that block is coming from. You know, you can be playing, and suddenly I tell you, you're not connected to yourself anymore. What happened? And we can figure it out together, you see. So I use my counseling as well as my skills as an improvisational pianist together to help you to reach your potential. And I would love to do it. So if you want to try it, there's going to be a link here at the end of this video. And also, I will put a link in the description. So, is there anything else that I should tell you before we sign off for today?
Do you want to mention your improvisational piano album coming out?
Oh, yes. I I would like to do that. I have my first solo piano album. I've got 5 albums that I composed before when I was playing on. If you read my story, you will be amazed because I did not play the piano at all between the ages of 15 and 73 because I have always been ill. I was ill as a child. I was always weak. I couldn't even play as a child. And then when I was 15, I became chronically ill and disabled.
You had played for about 9 years prior to
Yeah,
becoming
that's
disabled.
right. I had studied classical
training.
music. I just wasn't very good because I was so weak. And then, boom, when I was 73, but I had been, recording albums, but I didn't do it very often. It was torture for me to compose at a computer. And then that inner voice, that inner guidance, that intuition said, buy a real piano, which this is. This is a 7-foot Shigeru Kawai SK6 piano. Amazing, gorgeous. Has a great action. It plays itself. See, I don't have to. See what I'm saying? It just plays itself. And and then I heard in my inner voice, just improvise. So I gave up playing classical music and I just improvised. And sure enough, if I didn't play too much and I just improvised, I could play what my hands allowed me to play. See, I have a very small hand and I have disabilities in my hands. It's hard for me to play an octave. That's 8 notes. So I don't play octaves hardly at all. You try to play the classical repertoire with a crippled hand. It's not easy. But I only play what I can. And the more I do it, the more I can do. And it's just absolutely amazing to me how I have become an improvisational pianist. So I told you the story. And then when I started playing on Facebook and people started to encourage me because they loved my music, then I started to think, my God, I'm a musician. I'm a pianist. So I have just made my 6th album, but my first solo piano album, and it's called, what is it?
Peace Beyond Reason.
Peace Beyond Reason.
And what's the subtitle?
Piano Improvisations from the Soul.
Yeah.
And you'll be able to hear that as of June 25th on Spotify, on Pandora, and all of that. You can buy it, you can listen, and all of that. So I'm really excited about that. And I also want to invite you to get in touch with me if you want to talk about any of the things that I brought up today. You can put comments in, here in the comment section. And please subscribe to my YouTube channel and then come over also and visit me on Facebook because you can come live when we do the Magical Piano
What's your
Improvisations.
Facebook address?
Facebook.com/Granny Rocks On, but I'm going to put the link
Okay.
in writing. And also the link to my website is going to be, so you'll have lots of choices. And so subscribe to my YouTube channel and follow me on Facebook and come live when we're playing. And you can chat with us because Sweet Baby James does the chat when I play the improvisational piano. So I hope that this video has been of some service to you, and if you do want to pursue it with me, great. If not, that's fine. I hope that I'm encouraging you to improvise, because I want to say one more thing, and just try to stop me, which is that if you improvise and you get connected to yourself, all of your piano playing will improve. So for instance, you see, you can bring more expression into all of your music by unblocking yourself. So, the name of my program is Liberate the Improviser Within. Do it for yourself. Yes.